Will there be a Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau fight? There could be. And who would win? Who do you think? Let's dive in. Before we do, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast channel, please make sure you do that. Appreciate the support. And 7 Diamonds. It's all 7 Diamonds, hat, everything. They're having a sale currently, one and only sale, 30% off for 30 days. So link code for you to use for the discount in the video description below. So check that out. Now let's jump into what's going on. Brooks Koepka was on the BS with Jake Paul podcast. Now, Jake Paul is, if you got it, I mean, we all know he's pretty popular. He and his brother Logan, YouTubers, and then Jake goes and becomes just a phenomenal boxer and just a wild man, if you will. Okay, exciting to watch. He's regarded. You can't take your eyes off this guy. Anyways, he sits down with Brooks Koepka, and this podcast is pretty interesting because they talk for a long time about a lot of stuff. It's really fascinating if you're into it. And Jake Paul and his guys on the podcast, they don't know a ton about golf. So it's kind of interesting to listen to them and hear them engage and talk about it with Brooks and how they just kind of just ask great questions, and loved it. One of the things that Brooks said in the podcast was that he signed Liv for the dough.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I signed for the dough. I'm 100% behind that. I don't know. Tomorrow I can go get in a car accident and never play golf again, but my family's taken care of.
And so we've heard that before, and we've heard Brooks talk about, like, hey, look, if I were to get in a car crash and something were to happen to me, then I know my family's taken care of. So that's why I did it. And at the time, remember, he was injured and didn't know what was going on and the whole Netflix thing, and he was playing poorly, and he was just kind of down and out. So that's why he signed with Liv. But we always would hear that car crash analogy and say, what? What does that have to do with anything? Well, take a listen to this clip, and it might shed some light on the situation.
I think I was probably like 7 or 8. I'd always played golf like a little bit, not really, didn't think of it as like my sport, right? Got in this bad car accident, broke everything in my face, couldn't play hockey, couldn't play basketball, couldn't play anything, no contact sports. So was left with golf, and that's where it kind of took off, and I was like, man, I love this thing.
He was in a car crash as a kid. That got him into golf, breaking his face. So the car crash analogy is legitimate. He actually has like a legitimate case for that. So I get it, right? Like that not only could happen, it did happen to him. Then they talk and talk more. So I can understand more now why he took the money. And regardless of what you think about the money, it is what it is. He took the money because he wanted his family to be taken care of for the future. Okay. That's why he did it. At least, and he admits it. I love listening to Brooks because he just lays it all out on the table. Then later they get into a conversation about whether or not Brooks has any beef with any other players on tour. And he mentioned, yeah, Bryson, the whole click-clack thing, the metal spikes, and that just drove Brooks nuts. So then listen to this. This is what Jake Paul says to Brooks Koepka.
Who's like one of the guys that like you sort of have beef with, or like is your biggest rival that you just don't with out there?
I had the big thing with Bryson, the click clack, the spikes. Yeah, I think that was the big one.
Would you fight him like in a boxing match?
Yeah, you gonna promote it?
I'm down.
We'll make
I'll put $1 million purse up for each fighter, plus pay-per-view back end. It's Bryson DeChambeau.
DeChambeau.
Bryson in shambles.
Yes.
Am I right? After that fight?
He will be. Don't worry. Yeah, we can make something happen.
Do you think you're
Jake Paul offers not just $1 million. He offers $1 million to each fighter, plus pay-per-view stuff. So Jake's putting up $1 million for Bryson, $1 million for Brooks, and then there's pay-per-view. The question is, one is, would you want to watch this? Would you watch this fight? That's question one. I would say for me, yes, I would watch the fight. However, the caveat here, yes, I would feel guilty afterward. Like, I know it's wrong. I'm going to do it anyways. And I'm going to feel bad for the next few days after the fact. That's how I would kind of go about doing it. Like, because I think what would happen would be somebody would win and I would feel bad like for the other person. And then I would be like, man, and I just feel bad for them. And then the winner would, how does one golfer look at like life saying, yeah, I beat you up in a boxing match. Now let's, I don't know, golf together? It's kind of weird in the golfing scenario. But I mean, guys are kind of different in that way where we can kind of duke it out and then be best friends a few minutes later. So who knows? Maybe it would bond their relationship more. Maybe it would splinter it more. I don't think they're on the outs. I think they have a decent relationship. They're both on the LIV Tour and they get along. So I think they can give each other a little bit of a hard time, talk a little trash, no problem. Now, Brooks did say that he would win, right? He would win. The question now is, who do you think would win between Brooks and Bryson? Not only would you want to watch it, and who would win and why? Now, Brooks seems to be more, have that tough guy kind of persona. Like he's the guy, like the man's man, the tough guy. I'll play any sport. He's chewing tobacco. He's spitting around. He's cussing and swearing. Like he seems like one of the dudes, right? And he's about 6'1", pretty built, works out, in great shape. Okay, now Bryson is about the same height, works out obviously. He bulked up huge, trimmed up a bit. And so for size comparison, they're kind of on the same playing field. It wouldn't be like Brooks Koepka fighting Xander Schauffele. Like, they're in two different weight classes. So that's not going to be something that we can truly compare. But Brooks and Bryson, legitimate. So here's what I think and who I think would win. I think, now I'm going to break this down so we can understand why, because I don't want to just pick one person and say this person will win. But I would think that Bryson DeChambeau would win in a boxing match against Brooks Koepka. I'm going to go out on a limb and make that prediction if they fought. And I'm going to explain why. They're both, about the same size. They're both incredibly fit and strong. And I think that the thing with Bryson is he's really analytical and introspective. He's a real numbers guy. Like a guy like that can just logically go about doing things and have a process and a plan and an execution. Now, Brooks could do that, but he seems more like a stand in the middle of the ring and let's just punch each other in the face and until one person goes down. That's kind of Brooks. Like just Rocky Balboa throwing haymakers, left, right, left, boom, boom, just let's go. Yeah, come on. Yeah. That's kind of what I think Brooks would be like. Where Bryson, I think he would be more that Muhammad Ali, dance around the ring, pick your, moments. Floyd Mayweather wouldn't get hit hardly very often. I think Bryson would be faster and quicker because he's been able to really trim up and shape his body better than Brooks. Brooks been able to bulk up, but the trim down piece, we don't really see that much in Brooks, but in Bryson, he's doing whatever he wants physically. So I think that discipline that Bryson has in just that in the world of sports, and he would also have some uncanny technique. We know that based on his golf swing. So it would be not only like fighting a lefty, but fighting a lefty that just did weird stuff. And so I don't think you could really prepare and train for that, where Brooks would be more of a traditional middle of the ring, throw haymaker kind of guy. That's how I look at it when I see those two guys fighting. Now, I would watch. Don't get me wrong. I would watch it. It would be interesting. If I'm a golfer, though, and golf is my living, I don't get in the ring. I'm not fighting. No way. I don't. You could break a knuckle, you could break a hand, you're out for months, years, maybe forever. So I wouldn't do it, because if you hurt your hands, you're done. Hands and wrists, career's over. So that's why I wouldn't advise golfers fighting. And golfers fighting, though, when you do see those golfer fights, on Instagram and TikTok or whatever, they're pretty bad. Like, golfers cannot fight. Let's be honest. Well, the golfers on Instagram and social media that do fight aren't like golfers. They're whatever else. So some of them can, some of them cannot fight. Depends on whatever. But pro golfers, like, there's been like one pro golfer, Esteban Toledo, used to be like a professional boxer. That guy, I wouldn't fight that guy. Everybody else probably can't fight. I mean, it would be a stretch. So given that fact, this fight would be entertaining, and I don't think people would get too hurt. So I would have a good glove man, wrap the hands perfectly, extra thick padded gloves, maybe super extra thick, and it would be an entertaining, epic watch. Yes, I would watch it. I would pay $100 to watch that thing on pay-per-view. So Jake Paul, if you're listening, yeah, it's a good idea. You'd make a ton of money. But I think Bryson, at the end of the day, he would beat Brooks Koepka. That's my prediction. Is there going to be a fight? Let me know your thoughts. Comment below. Thanks for listening. See you guys soon.